Did you super. So you are a little bit in the frame if you want to. Okay. Right, ready to go. So sorry to keep you waiting. We're going to start with our heels turned in and the toes turned out. Tucking the tailbone under, lower abdominals pulling up and in so that pelvis is in a upright position, holding all of your internal organs inside, as is its job. Beautiful. We're going to raise those heels up and lower the heels down, noticing how the ankles are feeling today. Any instability, wobbliness. 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's always something new, 8. So today we have a new device connected to the music. So we'll see how that goes too. Because technology is never on our side. 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Balancing onto the left leg, we're going to lift the right knee up to tabletop, tall spine, and we're going to push that foot back behind you. Inhale to lift it up, 90 degrees, squeezing into this hip flexor, high, 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 and then squeezing, pushing it back, pushing through that glute. Lifting for 3, and squeeze to push it back. Lifting for 4, and squeeze to push it back. Ooh, wobbly on the mat. Lift for 5, and press. Lift for 6, and press. 7, 8, keeping the spine upright as that leg pushes back, so try not to lean forward. Last one, push it back, and then holding the knee up in front of you. Opening the leg out to the side, keeping the hip bones facing forwards. We squeeze it out, inner thigh stretch, and draw back to the middle for 1. Floating it open, knee stays high. 2, abs keeping the pelvis facing forwards. 3, really jump straight into the ankle stability here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, last one, 10, keeping the leg up in front of you. We're going to straighten the leg, and then, that's a bit early, hey, 1, 2, that's not very stable, 3, and it's full of very heavy weights, 4, so 5, yeah, thanks, 6, no, that's not very stable either, Tanya, 7, 8, 9, last one, keeping it straight out in front of you, toes high as you can, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And now we do the same thing on the other side. Knee up to tabletop. We really want to work this hip socket, sort of ball and socket, moving, not grinding, but working that ball action inside the hip socket itself. Pressing it back, squeezing into that under glute fold and lift. So where the thigh and the butt connect, I want you to think about folding that deeper too. And lift. Hip bones pulling on the front, or tummy muscles pulling on the front of the hip bones to keep the pelvis upright. 3. So the abs and glutes working in opposition. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, still keeping the chest open, shoulders back. 10, keeping the leg up, lengthen the spine up a little taller, open the knee out to the side, and bring it back to the front for 1. Open up. And 2, balancing a morning cappuccino on that knee. 3, without spilling it. 4, a half-filled espresso. 5, 6, squeeze into the outer hip. 7, think about showing off those inner thighs. 8, 9, last one, and 10. Keeping the knee up high. We're going to straighten and bend. 1. Straighten and 2. 3. 4. Because we started late, I felt I had to jump into things, but wow, regret. 6. 7. 8. Trying to keep that thigh up nice and high. 9. Last one. We hold it out for 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Everything should be nice and warm, which means everything else is going to be super easy. Parallel the feet. Active through the lower abdominals. We lift the heels up into your calf raise and lower the heels down just to hover. Raise it up for 2 and hover. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I have such straight ankles. I love it. 8. There isn't too much wobbling. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Super. Coming into a wide stance for sumo squats. Toes turned out, heels turned in. We definitely want to be wider than the mat, because as we sink the hips back and squat into those thighs, we want the knees to land above the ankles. And if the feet are really close, the knees go beyond the ankles. So we want to be generous with that distance, pulling the hips back as you squat down and come up to standing, tucking the pelvis under, hips pressing forward. So your lower back's not arching. And then we stick the bum out, sinking into those hips and squeeze. 2. Sink and squeeze, coming into an upright posture with the pelvis. 3. Stick it back and tuck it under. 4. So it rotates. Feel that rotation inside the hip sockets and tucks under. 5. Tailbone sticks out. 6, as if you're sitting on an imaginary chair behind you. 7, winding those knees open. 8, 9, and we're going to stay down in number 10 and add little pulses for 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Verti, open your knees. 2, 1, and hold. Pulling the bum back a little bit more. Poking it out. Drawing the belly in for the last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and straighten up those legs. Bring the toes in and the heels out. Final round of calf raises in our pigeon toe stance. Squeezing up through the ankles and lowering down for 1, 2, 3, just to hover. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5 more, 11, 12, 13, 14, come on legs, and last one, 15, beautiful. So we're going to combine a side lunge with a balance. If you're struggling with the balance, or if you find your mat's kind of slippy, you don't have to come into the balance. So we're going to start on the one side of the mat or not on the mat at all. We're going to take a big step to the side, open knee, sinking your bum back. So again, we don't necessarily want the toes going over the knees because we don't want the bum tucked under. Muscles work when they are stretched and have to shorten again. So if your bum stays in the shortened position, it's not really doing all that much. So you want to sink into your bum, allow it to poke back. And then when you come up out of that side lunge, then the muscles shorten, so your pelvis comes into an upright position. So that's the side lunge. We step to the side, pull the hips back, and then coming up into a balance on one leg. I'm not going to do this on the mat. This mat's too slippery. Okay. So let's start on the one side of the mat, all legs wide, ready to roll. We step to the side, sink the hips back, squatting, and then coming up into balance for 1. And squat to the side, and lift. 2. Squat to the side, lift. 3. The leg that's squatting is the leg that's lifting. 4. Squats, hips back. 5. 6. Nice. Landing soft and gentle. 7. 8. 9. And last one. And 10. Over to the other side, because the other leg is nice and fresh. Yes? No? Something like that? Stepping to the side. Feel that inner thigh stretch and come up to balance. Other thigh wasn't tight. This one, oh my goodness, the stretch. And 2. Catching yourself gently. 3. Bending the leg that you're landing on. And then pushing off the bent leg. 4. So you're lunging. And 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. And last one. And 10. Beautiful. Easy. I'm not loving the music today. I feel like there's this really low Monday energy. Okay, so we're going to come into some upper back and shoulder work. Soft knees, feet hip width apart, hinging at the hips into your tabletop position. Tailbone is lifted, ribs pulled in. So you'll notice that as the arms raise up, the rib cage may have a tendency to arch with it. We're going to use these abdominals to pull the ribs in as the arms lift up. So we start with the arms hanging straight down, tucking your chin in so your neck is in line with the rest of the spine. Palms facing each other. Colette, lift your head a little higher so it's not dangling down. You want it lengthened. So it's more of a turtle thing. And then we're going to raise the arms up alongside the ears and then lower the arms down straight to the floor. Arch your spine up a little bit more, Tonya. 2. And keeping the spine flattened in the same position the whole time. 3. So the spine is not moving as you lift the arms. 4. And 5. Feeling the work through the back of the legs, up into the hammies and glutes. 5 more. 4. Belly to spine to support the lower back. 3. Because sometimes it can work pretty hard here. 2, which is a good thing. And 1. Now we're going to open up to a wider V shape, keeping the work going through that upper back for 1. Shoulders stay away from the ears. 2. 3. Notice if the neck is starting to get tired. 4. Keep that head in line. 5. Ribs in. 6. Belly to spine. 7. Strong backs. 8. Feel those shoulder blades gliding along the rib cage. 9. And 10. Open the arms out to a capital T. Last round here. We squeeze the arms open to a fly. And lower. 1. Capital T, not quite an arrowhead. 2. Palms facing the floor. 3. 4. 5, really pinching those blades towards the spine. 6, keeping the shoulders rolled down. They have a strong tendency here to rise towards the ears. I think it's 1 more. And release the arms, coming up to standing. Do you feel that more in your backs or more in your legs? All the right places. Beautiful. Little bit in the legs. Yeah? Little bit. Great. Okay, coming to the back of the mat, feet hip width apart. In case anyone's worried, it's filming me, not you, just in case that wasn't clear. Like if everyone's feeling self-conscious for whatever reason. It's accessible and relatable. Okay, tucking your chin to your chest. This should feel really nice after the work we did through your upper backs. rolling and rounding one vertebra at a time down to the ground. And then tucking the tailbone, stacking each vertebra one on top, pressing the hips forwards, rolling the shoulders back and down. Chin to chest, round and roll forwards. Feeling each vertebra as it releases, and round and roll back up. Pressing the hips forwards, roll the shoulders back, tall, upright, standing in a queue or about to give a speech. Last one, chin to chest, roll and rounding down. Bending the knees, walking the hands forwards into a plank. Shoulders over the wrists, legs squeezing straight, drawing the shoulder blades away from the ears. We're going to push off of those toes. You okay? Pushing off those toes as the shoulders move forwards of the fingertips, and then pushing backwards so the heels sink towards the ground, gliding forwards and backwards, shifting forwards, sliding back. No up and down action through the hips. Keep those hips the same distance from the ground throughout. It's all in the wrists, all in the ankles. Bum stays low. There's no downwards facing dog. That one's coming just now. We're just warming up those wrists, warming up those shoulders, and saying hello to your core. One more. Keep the bum low. And then lower the knees, hips pull back, stretching out the arms in a child's pose. Draw the elbows in so you're on your forearms, shifting slightly forward, giving your body some space to rotate, taking the left hand to your ear. The right forearm is on the ground, left hand is at the ear. We rotate, lifting the left elbow up towards the sky, a variation on your open book, and rotate to tap that left elbow down. Rotate open for 2, and tap. Peeling the shoulders back, 3, and down. 4, halfway. 5, pushing strong through that right shoulder. 6, that's where all your leverage comes from. 7, and last one, 8. Switching sides, forearm down, other hand to the other ear, peeling the elbow and shoulder blade back, and tap it down. It's a big wind through the spine for 2, and peel it open for 3, twisting to look with your body up towards the sky. 4, allow your gaze to follow as well. So you look up at the roof. 5, 6, 7, and last one, 8. Keeping the elbows down on the ground, which initially probably felt like quite a nice thing to do, but now we're gonna work. Now these shoulders are gonna warm up in case they're not already. So we have forearms parallel to one another. Again, noticing how our body has these tendencies to fall into these compensation patterns. The hands do sometimes drift into like a triangular shape. So you want to work on those shoulder external rotators by keeping the hands wide and the forearms parallel to one another. So the hands and elbows are the same distance apart. So when you move the hands apart, don't move the elbows. Keep those elbows strong underneath you. You should feel that little bit of a burn inside, deep inside the shoulders. Shifting the weight onto the right knee, but trying to keep the pelvis nice and level. Float the left knee out to the side for a fire hydrant and lower down. So it's a sideways lift. Out and 2. Lower back staying level throughout. 3. And the lower back is nice and flat. 4. So it's not sagging down. 5. Add a slight tuck of the tailbone. Yes. 6. 7, the chin is tucked in as well, neck is nice and long. 8, 9, on our number 10, we're going to add little pulses, squeeze it out to the side for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, plus our hold, of course, for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, you okay? 5, just working hard, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down, but don't commit to the floor just yet. We're going to use the same foot, this time flexing those toes. So we've got 90 degrees in the ankles. I want you to exaggerate how much that tailbone's tucked under so you can really work on that hip socket again, deep into that glute as you drive the foot up towards the ceiling, donkey kick, and then bring it back into that start position. Drive it up with no arching through the lower back and pull it in. Raise for 3 and down. Raise for 4 and down. 5, 6, notice the hand drift. Are those triangles coming along? 7, let's square them off. 8, 9, on the last one, keep it lifted, adding our pulses through the hip. Press. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, plus our hold. How deep can we get that subgluteal fold or underbutt crease? 4, 3, 2, 1, and release the knee down. Stretch the arms out, allowing them to rest. Again, is it more legs or is it more arms? Shifting forwards, minimal rest. We want to maintain that burn. Oh, the supporting glute would have still been working, or would have been working quite hard on that exercise, and that's the one we're going to target here. So keeping that lower back level, double check with the pelvis and the lower abdominals, raising that right leg out, and float it back in, unless you did the right leg first, in which case, whatever is side number 2. Fire hydrant. 2. Float for 3. Float for 4. And 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Adding pulses for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding it up. Bring your face away from the floor so we have the deep neck muscles working to keep your head in line. 2, 1. Lower it down. Flexing the foot 90 degrees on the ankle and knee. Driving the knee up towards the ceiling and down, or the sole of the foot. Imagine you're raising these roof tiles. 2. Keeping the tailbone tucking strong under. 3. So we practiced this action when we were standing. 4. Big hip rotation. 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that head starting to drift again? Pull it away from the floor. 9. Holding it up, adding your pulses for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, plus our hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Quick rest in your child's pose before meeting Colette in exactly that position. So you're welcome to take a child's pose, but otherwise we're coming up into our tall kneeling lunge for our thigh stretch. So parallel those shins. Toes are pointing out behind you. Tucking the tailbone. Really drawing that in. It's a really nice opportunity to practice this upright and connected, core connected trunk action. Arms next to you for the most standard version. If you're struggling, you can extend the arms to make it easier. If you want to make it more challenging, you can lift the arms overhead. Let's see. We're going to lean back, head and shoulders reaching down to the ground, and then pushing into the tops of the feet to push yourself back up. 1. Lean without arching and lift. 2. Rotating around the knee joint. Lean. 3. One day when we're big and strong, we're going to get the head and shoulders to really touch the ground. 4. And still get back up afterwards. 5. It's the reason I don't commit. I'll get stuck. 6, 7. Shoulder blades drawn back and open. 8. What? No volunteers for arms next to your ears. 9. And last one, lean and hold. And let's try raise those arms up. 10, 9, back behind your head. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands out in front of you into your push-ups. So if full push-ups are in your practice, I invite you to lift those knees off the ground. Otherwise, knees down on the floor. Hug the elbows in, body is in a straight line, even if the knees are on the ground. So we're not in a box position, hips are pretty low. We bend those elbows, lowering chin and chest to the floor, and straighten for 10. Bend. 9. 8. 7. 6. Kalinka, keep your hips a little bit lower. 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Lowering the chest down to the ground, extending the arms out in front of you. Keeping the tops of the feet flat. And of course, the chin tucks in so the neck is in a neutral alignment. We're going to raise the upper half of the body, arms and chest, then slide the elbows into a W shape, really squeezing the shoulder blades down towards your hips and away from the ears so the neck is long, keeping the chest open. Sliding the arms forwards and lower the upper half of the body down. Lifting arms and chest, keeping the pelvis and feet glued to the ground. Slide it in like you're doing a pull-up. Stretch it forwards and lower down. 2. Lift, slide, stretch, and 3. Gaze is just at the top of the mat. In, so you're not looking in front of you. And 4. Lift, slide, stretch, and 5. Keeping that tailbone tucking down to the heels. And 6. So the work is happening through the upper back and shoulders, not too much through the lower back. 7. Slide, reach. 8. Last 2. Slide, reach. 9. Last 1. Slide, reach. And 10. Slide the left arm out in line with your shoulder at a capital T position. Bring your right hand in next to your right chest. Right leg bends. Lift your right thigh off the floor, rolling over onto that left shoulder. To stretch out the left arm. If it's not stretching in the arm, try slide it a little higher up in front of you. So Kalinka, slide your arm more forwards. Your arm. There we go. Switching sides. Right hand stretches out. Left hand comes in. Left leg bends. Lift the thigh. Roll onto your right shoulder. And it's really about how much you can roll onto the arm. The lower back stretch is quite nice, but the focus here is what's happening in the arms and shoulders. And release. Pushing back into a little child's pose. Just taking some relief through the lower back after that extension we did. And then we're going to connect those forearms to the floor once more. So elbows and hands down, shifting forwards, double check that everything's nice and parallel again. No triangles. We're going to tuck the toes and lift into a variation of a downwards facing dog, which is called a dolphin pose in yoga. So it's like a triangle forearm plank. So the elbows and knees are close, and then you're going to straighten the knees to lift the hips to the sky. The elbows stay firm on the mat. So Tatiana, put your forearms on the floor. Walk your feet nice and close to the elbows. The closer your hands are to your feet, the harder you're going to work today. So challenging yourself. And then we're going to shift forwards, take your nose in between the thumbs. Even a slight shift is still going to work those shoulders. And push back, hips to sky. Gentle rock, nose towards thumbs. And push back, deepening that triangle shape. 2. Working within your range of motion. 3, that you can sustain for all 10 reps. 4, really nice calf and hamstring stretch. 5, 6, 7, you good? 8, 9, and last one, 10. Lower the knees down, coming up into a tall position. It's a really tough exercise. So admittedly, that's an exercise that I typically incorporate for handstand training. So, you know, Christmas, New Year's parties, party tricks, handstands were added to the list. Okay, we're going to do some end range of motion lunges. So we're going to bring the left foot forward, out in front of you, but you want your left leg on the left side and your right leg on the right hand side. Tucking the back toes under. No one has an especially thin mat. You may want to double up your mat, your towel, Erica. Just make it a nice soft landing. And Des, are you okay? The next one's also a little bit tough, but then we're going to be doing some lying down exercises, which will hopefully help us to catch our breaths. So the toes are tucked under. We're going to rise up into a hovering lunge and lower down. Push your hands into your front thigh if you really need to. We're practicing getting up off the ground. So how you would get up off the ground, yeah? And lower down. But if you don't need to use your hands, we're going to get challenged nicely without the hand. So we float up, 1, lower down gently. Float for 2, and lower down. 3, cramping. Where's the cramp? Oh, in your foot. 5, 6. I think I'll be nice today. Just 2 more. 7, but mostly because we have a hold on this last one. We're going to hold it up and hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Just hold, no pulses. 2, 1, and release. Unflip those toes. Take a slightly bigger step forward. Draw the pelvis under so we can get a deep stretch across the hip flexor, and then sinking the hips forward into a nice deep stretch. Big muscles use a lot more oxygen, so it puts you more out of breath whilst building your fitness and stamina. Switching sides, other leg comes to the front, feet and knees hip width apart. That helps to make the balance easier. If you're on a single line, balance is really tough. You can do it if you want to challenge, but the exercise is challenge enough. So hip width is more optimal. Tuck the toes under, tall spine as much as possible. You want to lean forwards as little as you can so that glute works really hard. Drive the foot through the floor, float, and lower. 1, float, and lower. 2. So yes, it is an exercise, but it's also a skill. 3, and in real life, you would reposition your hands and legs. 4, as you needed to. 5, so long as you're not putting yourself at risk. 6, we're good. 7, and on this last one, we hold for the world's fastest. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Stepping that foot more forward, sinking the pelvis forward. Deep stretch across that hip flexor. I want the front foot to stay flat. Bring your right foot forward so the heel is flat on the ground. These muscles on the front of the hip sit in a shortened position when you spend a lot of time sitting, driving, etc. So it's a nice opportunity to open them out. Swinging the legs around into a seated position. Feet hip width apart, taking the hands behind you. Ideally, we want fingers pointing in towards the glutes, but not all shoulders, not all the wrists love that. So listen to what your body allows for today. And we're working towards this sort of more neutral wrist position. Without, excuse me, without sagging into the neck, into the shoulders, we're going to push the chest up out of the shoulders. Tuck the tailbone under so the lower abdominals are pulling in, and then scoop the pelvis to the sky, driving the heels to the ground. As we lower the hips, we're going to take the hips down, back between the hands. Pins and needles, you may find turning the hands around a little bit more helpful. You can also try this one on your elbows. Scoop the tailbone under, lift the hips up too. And back down between the hands. So there's almost a stretch of the legs, and we're hovering. Scoop and lift, 3. And back down to hover between the hands without sagging. Good, beautiful. 4. And back. 5. And back. 6. 7. I think you guys are enjoying all the aircon. It's not reaching here. Last one, holding it up again. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Releasing the hips, straighten the legs, and take the hands out in front of you. Maybe roll the hands out a little bit. Thankfully, it's a leg exercise next, not an arm exercise. The closer you get your hands to your feet, the more challenging the exercise can be. So we're going to raise the right foot up off the ground and lower it down. Nice. Right leg again. 2, and down. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. 10. So for this one, we're working on compression. So the closer you get your hands to your feet, the more forward you will fold. So we don't necessarily want a straight spine here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now the fun part, we're going to lift both legs at the same time. Okay, we've got this. We've been building up all this mental fortitude to do hard things. So let's use it. Pushing those hands to the ground as you lift the legs up and lower down. Beautiful. 1, 2. Down slowly. 3, 4, 5. Very nice. 6, 7, 8, 9, last one, and 10. Bring your soles of the feet in and folding forward. That was very well done. How far we've come. The first time we do that exercise and you can't lift the one leg, and now look at us just lifting both legs. Okay, release, bringing the knees upright, planting those feet. We're coming up into that reverse tabletop position again. We all managed. You looked good. Dread. Okay, so ideally fingers towards the hips, but go with what feels most comfortable in your body, because the focus here is a little bit on the shoulder stretch, the glutes, the hamstrings, the core. So the wrist position isn't going to take away from that. So we push out of the shoulders. That's another important piece. Tuck the tailbone, lift the hips up. Shift the weight into the left foot. Draw your right knee up to tabletop. Beautiful. Switch it up. And the other leg lifts. And switch. Push before you lift. 3. And avoid sagging. 4. So really enforcing that stability through the upper body. 5. Are you good? 6. Even just a shift with no lift. 7. 8. Lifting one heel, keep the toes down. 9. And last one. 10. And release. Straighten the legs and folding forwards. Then a final ab exercise in this supported position. You can do this one lying flat on your back. It's windshield wipers, which we have done before. Otherwise, you're going to have the hands reaching behind you. In this case, we'll have them a little bit wider. Fingers turned back. We're going to lift right knee, then left, up to tabletop. Okay. You can also do this on the elbows. See what works for your body. You want to glue the knees and ankles together. Lift the left bum off the floor, rotating both knees, glued together, no sliding. And then squeeze them back to the middle. Up and over to the other side, only going as low as you're still in control. And lift. Over number 3, twisting out the waist. And middle through center. Over for 4. Exhale as you wind out the waist. Inhale. Exhale 5. Inhale middle. Taking the knees and feet together. Over to the one side. 6. And middle. 7. Vodi, take your shins over the outside edge of the mat. 8. And middle, good. And then over the outside edge of the other side. 9. And middle. And last one. 10. And middle. Place the feet down on the ground. Walk the fingertips back towards each other. Fingertips, pinky fingers back towards each other with the fingers pointing behind you. If you need to bend the elbows, you can. We're going to lift the hips up and slide the hips closer towards the heels for a shoulder stretch. Pulling the hips back into an upright, tall posture, right hand between the shoulder blades, left hand grasps the elbow, pulling the hand down between the blades. Switching the hands, grasping the other elbow. Relax. Crossing the right ankle over the left knee. We're doing an upright figure 4 stretch. And bring the left foot so the knee is upright. Hands behind you for a bit of support. As you then lift the bum, take the hip as close to the heel as you can, and then walk the hands in towards you. So basically, you want your hands, your bum, and your heels super close together with your spine in a very tall, upright position, but only work within your capacity. So the hands can still be here, and you can still get a really good stretch. We want to have the ankle as close in towards your hip as you can, and that knee turned out. You good, Tatiana? Great. Swiveling that knee open for a deep glute stretch. Sending the hips back, straighten the bottom leg, switching sides. Left ankle crosses over right knee, right foot slides in, hands behind you, hands in close, hips in close. It's just a stretch, and we're just aiming to stretch in the glutes, so there's no need to force anything here. If the elbows are not comfortable, bend them or chill out completely. As long as we're getting that glute stretch, I want you to listen to your bodies and make adjustments accordingly. Chill in normally. And release, coming upright, ankles crossed, final spine twist. One hand to the outside of the knee, other hand behind you. Wind out the waist. Switching sides. And relax, hands resting onto the knees. We're going to take a big inhale. Exhale, open mouth, side out. One more time. And side out. Well done.